All right, how we doing? I'm actually at home for this one, so you guys get to meet Layla and hi, Brad. All right, so just a couple things. Entering this week, we are in week 11 out of 12, which is exciting because that means since this is the third trimester, we are gaining some ground on the end of the school year, which is super cool. I hope everybody's excited for the summer, but we need to pump the brakes a little bit because we do have some work yet to do. So the big thing is that we want to make sure that we finish the landscape with a pen. That's the biggest thing. That needs to be completed by Tuesday of this week. So you'll see that on Tuesday there's an uploading day. Monday is going to be a work day to give you time to finish up a lot of that watercolor if you decided to go that route. Remember that it was optional. The reason why it's optional is because I personally cannot expect e-learners to have access to watercolor paints. So the watercolor was optional. If you did not do the watercolor, I hope that you took it a step further and continued with the pen and did a nice job finishing that project up. One thing that I like to do, and I put this in the last week's, but I also wanted to put it in this week, was on Monday, I went ahead and put in some student samples. And so the student sample, that'll give you a pretty good idea of some of the, probably, I think all of those kids received a 95, between a 95 and 100% on the actual project. So that gives you a really good idea of what some students in your grade this year with the same instructions were able to accomplish. Okay. So if you look at that and you say, oh boy, I'm missing a lot. Well, just remember that this is an effort-based class. So, and a lot of those images in that student sample, some of those kids are pretty talented for 8th grade, but honestly, a lot of them are just good students that worked hard, put in the time. Remember, we spent over 2 weeks on this project, which is more than 10 class periods. So if you divided that up, let's just say, like very modest numbers, let's say that we spent 10 class periods, okay? And then that 10 class periods was 40 minutes each, okay? So that's 400 minutes, right? And if you divide 400 minutes by 60, that gives you the hours. So it's 6 hours and about 40 minutes total, okay? So this project took a lot of us in class and a lot of those students in the sample folder, it took them 6 hours and 40 minutes to complete it, okay? So the reason why I wanted to mention that is because I think there's a little bit of like disconnect with some of our e-learners just because it's challenging to especially do an art class online. But I just wanted to kind of bring that up because if you notice your grade is a little bit lower than what you would expect, well, it's because when I look at this project and when I grade the project, I'm grading it thinking, okay, did this person spend 6 hours and 40 minutes on this project? And that's a lot of time. But it's over the course of, I don't know, 12, 13, 14 class periods. So just wanted to kind of point that out. Anyway, as you move to Tuesday, obviously you're going to turn in your pen activity or your pen landscape. You can turn that in by clicking this link. It's going to take you directly to where you need to turn it in. All you need to do is make sure that you take a photograph and you upload it to most likely your Google Drive. Okay? You submit that, and then please do not forget to put a thought out artist statement attached to that Google Doc. Okay, and attached being you just type it right into the Google Doc. And that's the best and the better chance of you getting 100% or even close to 100% on the project. Okay, on Wednesday, we are going to start a final sketchbook assignment, which, because of the timing, and this happened actually in the last trimester as well, but because of the timing of things, we only have about 5 class periods to left in the whole school year. So 5 class periods, let's be honest, that's not enough time to do another project, another big project. So what we're going to do is we're going to meet somewhere in the middle. Okay, so what that'll look like is that's going to look like um, kind of like a project, but in your sketchbook, and it's going to be about half the amount of time required. So if you remember, I just talked about with the pen landscape, we spent about 6 hours and 40 minutes, and that's according to about 10 class periods worth of work. To be completely honest, I think it was more like 12 or 13 class periods, but that's fine. So we're talking about 6, 7 hours for a normal project. For this project, what we will do is you will complete a final drawing using a ballpoint pen. Now, this might be a little different, um, but the ballpoint pen is basically your standard like Bic pen, okay? And I actually have one right here. So this is a very standard ballpoint pen. They're like 30 cents a piece, super cheap. You probably have one of these laying around your house. Um, See if you can find one. You can use blue. You could use green. I probably wouldn't recommend green, but you could use blue. The best recommendation that I have is you can use either blue or black. Sorry, I'm looking out my window. I think there's a sales guy coming up. But you could use either blue or black. Okay, and I think that's the best recommendation. Red is just a little bit too light of a color, to be completely honest. So I would probably stay away from red, but if you really wanted to try it, feel free. Now, you are going to complete a final drawing. And this drawing should take you about 3 hours. That sounds like a lot of time. Now, you do not have any sketchbook assignments for the rest of the year. Okay? The big thing is 3 hours is equivalent to, let's see, 3 hours is 180 minutes. So right about 4 class periods. 5 class periods is 200 minutes, which is 3 hours and 20 minutes. Okay, so we're just under that mark, but we're also taking out the sketchbook assignments. It should be somewhere between 2.5, let's just shoot around 2.5 hours total. Okay, that's a good drawing. Now, a couple things that you should have. Number one, you're going to pick your own theme, okay, which hopefully you're excited about. You get to pick your own theme, and this theme, it just needs to be something organic, which means anything that grows. It can be a flower, it could be an animal, it could be marine life, um, it could be another landscape if you wanted to go that route. It could be anything that grows. Okay, it could be fruit. So anything moving, anything natural, anything that grows, anything that's living, that's what the theme is going to be. So you can interpret that however you want. The big thing, though, is that I want you to do this entire project, this entire drawing, with only a pen. Okay? Now, what you're going to do is you'll notice over in Thursday and Friday, you have 3 awesome videos. And what I did was, and I didn't do this because I'm trying to be lazy, I did this because it gives you a different perspective of learning how to draw. Every art teacher, every art educator, artist, whatever, is going to teach you differently on how to do things. Okay. Now, we all have some common principles, like a lot of the stuff that we learned this year. But when it comes to pen, there's going to be some people out there in the world that just explain it differently. Maybe better, maybe not better, but maybe just a different perspective. So this artist that I connected you with through YouTube is an amazing ballpoint pen artist, and that's like his gig. His jam is ballpoint pens, and he's amazing. I think you guys will actually think the videos are pretty sweet. Probably a little bit more interesting than mine, and hopefully a little bit higher of production. Okay, so those 3 videos. Okay, we got 1, getting started with the ballpoint pen, 2, shading with the ballpoint pen, and then 3, shading continued, to just take it a little step further. Okay, so what I would like you to do is watch these 3 videos, come up with your theme, something organic, and then moving forward, you're going to start your drawing in your sketchbook using a ballpoint pen. Couple things I want you to think about. Composition. Composition is the overall arrangement on your paper. It should fill up the entire page. And you must completely shade in your drawing using a 1 to 10 value scale. Okay? 1 to 10 value scale, because when you look at like realistic drawings, accurate drawings, and when you look at great artists, what they do is they actually apply the 1 values, which is super light. You're going to have some zeros, which is just white. And then you're going to have 10s, which is as dark as you can possibly go with that big pen. Okay? So think about those 3 things. Think about having a balanced composition, something that makes sense. It's actually the weight of the objects are relatively balanced on the paper. You got to take up the whole page. And then number 3 is you really need to make sure you use a 1 to 10 value scale. Okay, a value range. All right, I put a couple mini goals up here for you to follow. And then make sure that this project is turned in by the following Tuesday. Okay, so Tuesday, the actual due date is going to be Tuesday at noon, which is a little different. But what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to grade this project in person. And so I'm going to grade it in person. And if you're an e-learner, I just want you to get that project submitted by noon. Okay. Now that is a hard deadline because the grades are closing Wednesday. And I can promise you one thing. I loved having you all in class, but I'm probably not going to stick around after the last day of school. So those projects for sure need to be submitted by Tuesday at noon. Okay. Look forward to what everybody can do. I hope you really enjoy these videos because I think they're really sweet. And I will talk to all of you very soon.